Every one of them has a story. Every one of their stories was tragic before they came into our program. And to be completely honest with you and completely transparent, some of those ladies left our Safe House program and relapsed. And that's heartbreaking. And I think of their faces and I think of their stories, and we've cried tears over them. We pray for them. We do what we can to bring them back into the fold, and it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking when you're able to see the potential that a woman has that she can't see in herself. When you're able to see this woman walk through the door of the office or the Safe House and she is completely broken and she doesn't know who she is, and she only knows what she's been told for her whole life, and she's kind of a blank canvas, and we get to work with her and walk with her through this healing journey, and it's difficult. The staff who work in that Safe House, they are my heroes. I did that for a few years. My husband and I worked in the Safe House for 7.5 years. It's hard work, but man, is it rewarding. I can't think of anything else that I've done in this lifetime that's more rewarding than the work I've done in that house with these women and with this organization. You see, the women, they're raised in homes that are for the most part dysfunctional. They come from abuse. They come from broken homes. They come from homes that are maybe, their families of origin could be foster families that are very abusive. They could be foster families that are very loving. They could come from homes that are adoptive families who love them so much. And we've literally had a couple of women who were adopted and then taken back to the adoption agency. One of them after a few years. I'm not even joking. And so she was neglected by her birth mom, adopted and abused, neglected by the adoptive mom, and then rejected and taken back. I mean, that's heartbreaking. When she met her trafficker, he made her feel loved. He made her feel beautiful. He made her feel wanted. He made her feel worthwhile and worthy. And she thought this man loved her. That's the story with the majority of the women that we work with. Because you see, in order for trafficking to take place, force, fraud, or coercion must be present. And with the majority of our ladies, it's coercion. And coercion looks different for each person. Primarily, it's the boyfriend syndrome. They meet a guy, they think he's cute. Typically, he's older than them. They fall in love. There's this phase of recruitment that they go through. There's this seduction phase where the trafficker lures them and makes them fall in love with him. And in that seduction phase, they begin to trust him. He gives them everything they've always wanted. And then he begins isolating them from their families. And remember, some of their families are very neglectful and very abusive. Not all. We've had women come to us who have come from very good families, solid foundations. And there was some abuse. There was some feelings of abandonment. But for whatever reason, they made choices that made them feel like they were choosing prostitution, and they weren't. Their choices were to feel loved and to feel a part of something bigger than them. They wanted to feel accepted for who they were. And then they were turned out on the street. That's a term commonly used whenever a trafficker brings a woman in, grooms her, and then he turns her out on the street. And so, of course, their trust is shattered. They don't know what to think, what to do, where to turn, who to trust, who to believe. And then there's these do-gooders along the way. One of our ladies called Dennis and I Captain Save-A-Hose, because she said, yeah, out there when I was on the streets and I was turning tricks, there were 2 or 3 Captain Save-A-Hose that came along. Mostly those were just tricks of mine who wanted to become my sugar daddy. But that's what you guys are. I think you're a Captain Save-A-Ho. You think you can come in and really help us, but you can't. You can't change who we are. You can't change who we are at the core of our very being. And her words were, well, obviously they were heartbreaking, because we knew that she could change at the core of her very being. Because again, like I said earlier, our faith is in Jesus, and he has changed each one of us that work in this organization. People tell us, you know, you guys do great work, you're such awesome people. And my response is usually, yeah, no, I'm not a great person, but Jesus. Jesus. And one thing we know is our ladies are waiting for us to give up on them. And sometimes I know it looks like we do give up on them, because when they turn and they walk away, there's only so much we can do. And eventually we have to step back and allow them to make the decisions that they need to make until they're at another place in their life when they're ready to take one more step towards their healing. And sometimes that takes 2 or 3 times for a woman to be able to go the 2 steps forward and the 3 steps back, 2 steps forward, 2.5 steps back, 2 steps forward, 2 steps back. And before you know it, she's just going forward, forward, forward. And those are the celebrations that we just can't stop talking about. Because we've seen her potential, and now finally she's seen her potential. And she's not just surviving, but she's thriving in this world. And that's what our goal is here at Redeemed. That's what our hope is. Our hope is we will meet women on their journey of life, women who have been abused and abandoned and neglected by their family of origin, abused and abandoned, neglected by their sex industry family, which would be their pimp, their traffickers. And then they may have bounced around in between there to abusive relationship after abusive relationship. All the same guy, but just with a different name. And then they meet us. And our hope is, in our program, they're going to start looking in the mirror and seeing something a little bit different, and that we're going to be able to help them see the potential that they carry, that we see in them. And yes, I do hope that you choose to partner with us financially. We can't continue running this safe house without individual partners, without church partners, without companies coming alongside us. We really can't. But more importantly, I really hope you just know more. I hope that you feel a little differently. And I hope that you're able to go out and open your eyes and see the world a little bit differently. And so when you're driving down that street that we know every city has, and you see those women standing on the street corner, scantily clad, you're going to look at them a little bit differently after today. You're going to look at them and you're going to wonder, not, you know, how can she possibly do that to herself? But you're going to be wondering, man, what is it that happened to that woman that led her to this street corner tonight? And is there anybody out there tonight who cares enough about her to make a difference in her life? That's what I hope. And maybe some of you are going to be those people who will be able to make a difference in the life of one woman.